Hello, Internet. Welcome back to the Story Nook, and today we're going to be reading some more stories from r/PrettyRevenge. And honestly, I'm recording in my car. I don't have my laptop where I normally queue up stuff, so I'm just using the app on my phone. So we're going to have a lot of dead air to cut out, and that's fine. Our first story comes from agreeable_sky1562. My roomie didn't know I spoke Spanish and tried to talk behind my back. For context, I'm Afro-Latina, but most people just assume I'm African-American and don't speak Spanish. Well, the other day I was getting ready and I overheard my roommate on the phone with her mom talking in Spanish. And most importantly, they were talking some mad crap about me. More context. I have a long-term boyfriend, and more often than not, I spend the night at his house. But I think it's super important to keep my own place as well for my own independence. But I guess to her, she assumed I am a streetwalker and stayed with a different man every night. Her words. So what do? I burst out into the living room and say, "Wow, I didn't know you spoke Spanish too," in Spanish. And y'all, the girl's face turned red. She just smiled and said, "Oh yeah," and said goodbye to her mom and went to her room. And that's hilarious. And Sean Perfect adds in the comic section, I went to Midwestern College, but we had a lot of international connections. In school, I worked at the IT help desk, and once a semester, every student living in the dorms had to bring their computer to IT so we can make sure it's updated and doesn't have viruses. Say what you will, but that was a rule then. Anyway, these French exchange students come by and drop off their laptops. They have pirated Windows, so they can't be updated. I say, "Sorry, I can't approve these. They have pirated Windows. You can go to the bookstore and get a legit key for $20, and I can help you install it." They reply, "We didn't do anything wrong." I say, "I'm not the morality police. I don't care, but without a legit key, I can't help you." They speak in French and say, "He's an idiot. We can come back and ask someone else." To which I reply in French, "You're welcome to try, but they'll give you the same answer." And that to me is hilarious. Our next story comes from Blumpkin Dude. Let an annoying kid get what's coming to him. I used to work in a reform school, basically kids with behavior issues that public schools didn't want to deal with got sent to us. We had one kid who was super annoying. He liked to raise his hand, talk, poke at other kids, basically did nothing to endear himself to anyone. One time in class, I helped monitor. He was sitting behind another kid who didn't talk much, but was the kind of kid who you probably shouldn't antagonize. Of course, he started throwing wadded up paper at him and poking at him and talking to him. I figured instead of disciplining him, I would let nature work itself out. After a while, the kid he is poking at turned around and very calmly said if he poked him again, he would get up and knock him out of his chair. About 15 minutes later, he poked at him, and true to his word, that kid got up and punched him in the head and knocked him out of his chair. It took him a few seconds to realize what had just happened to him. Then he started crying that the other kid hit him and wailing about it. So I made both of them go stand up on the wall, our standard punishment for getting out of line. Never had a problem with him again. Our next story comes from Pallid Page. Probably mispronouncing that. I gaslit an annoying kid and turned the class on him. Back in middle school, a real disruptive kid, the kind that frequently causes the class to get more work because he wouldn't shut up, left his notebook on his desk during movie day. In a larger room, when everyone took a seat around the television when I had to go to the bathroom, I took it off his desk and put it in his own backpack. When class was wrapping up, he started losing his shit, insisting it was stolen, and kept it up until they brought in security and the vice principal. This was the last class, and now he kept everyone held up for at least an hour after school to search everyone's bag and locker until they looked in his bag and everyone, staff included, hated him. He got a suspension, grounded by his parents, and bullied by everyone else for wasting their time. I didn't feel too bad. He was insanely close to get it with the next extra assignment he would get in class. And someone comments, why did not one of the adults insist he check his bag first? It would have been more logical from a teacher perspective that he put it away and forgot, and then somebody stole it and then put it in their backpack or locker. And OP responds, they did, and he insisted that there was no way he forgot doing something so routine that it's basically automatic, and threw a shit fit every time it was brought up until everyone else's shit was searched. And somebody else responds, I had a student, special ed school, who couldn't find her keys. She drove to school, she was a senior, and there was nobody at home. So she needed both car keys and house keys. She had several people searching while she freaked out, and I kept suggesting searching her backpack again. She insisted that she searched it several times and they weren't there. I kept insisting that she recheck every single pocket, and then she finally did, with me there. Wouldn't you know, she found them. She missed a pocket. And that happens often. I have also, put stuff places and forgotten, been looking everywhere else but, my bag for it. And my husband will come grab me and be like, hey, let's check your bag. Our next story comes from Damien St. James. Neighbors won't pick up after their dog, so we left landmines in front of their door. Before I begin the story, yes, I have contacted my apartment manager. Any action from them is pending. To start, I'm a 40-year-old man that lives with my husband and boyfriend in an apartment complex in Vancouver, Washington. Depending on who you ask, they'll either say, oh yeah, I know those, or oh yeah, those apartments. They have a reputation of being a bit trashy, I'm afraid, which is our segue into the encounter. Our neighbors moved in about 6 months ago. They live directly across from us. I barely understand the family dynamic, but I know it at the very least consists of a mother and 3 children under 10. They're loud, obnoxious, and something inside their apartment smells god-awful. It's bad when you can smell it in the shared stairwell with their door closed. The 3 of us have attempted to be cordial, but they made it clear through one means or another they're not interested in contact, so we dropped it. Recently, let's call her Brenda for storytelling purposes, Brenda has decided to start sending her dog outside to do its business, rather than take it on a walk. She just opens the door to the shared stairwell, and the dog dashes down the stairs and bolts right for a median parking space divider containing the plants and shrubs. It'll pop a squat and then dash back inside when called. And Brenda shuts the door. Nobody in our house has been cleaning up the dew, leaving it to sit there. Also, I apologize for all those dings. That is my phone connected to my Bluetooth getting text messages, and I don't know how to turn that off on the car. So I apologize. Due to where it sends me. Since the 3 of us are night owls and graveyard workers in the dark of the night, you can't see these disgusting little things on the ground. We keep stepping in them and having to wash our shoes/boots of practically daily. We did attempt to talk to Brenda about the issue. The conversation went in circles. We asked her to stop, pick up the mess, and we'd be back to a comfortable distance. She just kept saying, okay, yeah, what's the problem? Over and over. We gave up trying to reason with her. That's when my husband had an idea. Cue PrettyRevenge. The apartment complex has multiple dog parks throughout the area. They come equipped with those dogs, but put into dispensers so you can clean up after your dogs. Husband lately has been gathering up Brenda's dog's leavings and putting them in these bags. He ties them off, then will so neatly deposit them in front of our neighbor's door. What's really amusing is we can hear the sound of the loud pop squish through our door, followed by some choice, colorful language. They'll step into the trap, get their shoes messy, and have to deal with it. You'd think by now they'd get the hint, right? Nope. Brenta is still sending out her dog, letting it use nature's latrine, then calling it back inside. We've been cleaning up the mess, documenting with pictures, and then leaving the landmines in various patterns in front of their door like some kind of modern art project. It's so satisfying to hear that popped, followed by cursing. And yeah, that's like sucks that their neighbor is not cleaning up. Like, I remember I moved into a condo complex with like my mom, and I was in charge of walking the dogs, and I had to be taught like how to do all that because it hadn't been like a thing done before, because I lived out in like not so much the country but pretty much rural area where the dogs were just always outside and it was normal for them to do their business outside, but it was also like several yards, like almost a whole acre or so of just fields for them to go. So yeah. Somebody commented, years ago my neighbor rented her house next door to me to her sister who had a dog. The sister was lazy and never cleaned up after her dog. I had a fenced part of my yard where my dogs played and did their business. Behind my fenced area there was a tree line with heavy bushes, then more of my yard. Every day this woman would walk her dog behind the tree line and let her dog do its business while having a cigarette. So at least twice a day she'd deliver a pile of poo and a cigarette bud. I had a shovel to clean my yard, and I would launch her dog's poo and cigarette buds over my fence into her yard. Sister and dog were gone in 6 months. So I really do hope that the apartment does something, but we're gonna end this video here so I can look at these text message my friend has sent me and be a good friend and kind of socialize and yada yada. So thank you all for being here. Remember to stay hydrated. Be careful because the plague is still out and about. It's been hecka hot, so definitely stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Wear sunscreen if you're outside. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, you can still get a sunburn and they still suck. Yeah, so thank you very much to my Patreon Ko-fi supporters, Dymond and Micah, you guys are awesome. And yeah, have a lovely day. Bye bye.